Welcome back to my Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Nuzlocke walkthrough. In the last episode, I wiped on Watson. I went in with a poorly constructed team and not a very good game plan overall. Watson can be quite tough when you go with Trico though. However, in attempt number 2, my luck started to change drastically. The encounters I got leading all the way back to Mauville City were just spectacular. A Wurmple that turned into Dustox, Marill, Shroomish, Magikarp, and Tentacool. All encounters helped me immensely on the first 2 gyms, and they should help me even more on Watson, Flannery, and Norman. We left off last episode defeating our rival on Route 110, this time with no deaths, and now it's time to get my revenge on Watson. The road from Gen 3 Casual to Emerald Master continues. Let's do this. Back in Mauville, we quickly do all the usual. Obtain a disc that allows us to smash rocks, pick up a special case that fuels our gambling addiction, grab the Zoomy bike, and brutally murder a little boy's pet. I already took care of the majority of the grind in the last video, so I'm basically all ready to go for Watson's gym. I feel much more confident with Breloom and Dustox on the team. I actually ran some damage calculations this time as well to get a general idea of how hard his Pokemon hit, and I think I'm in a very good position to win this without too many problems. Let's see how it goes. I'm ready. I lead with Grovyle to slowly take out the Voltorb and the Electrike, because with his moveset, he's not going to be able to do too much against Magneton and Manectric anyway. But against the smaller guys, he's great. He has the type advantage defensively, which allows me to use Absorbs to keep his health up, and after some back and forth and a Super Potion later, both of the little guys finally go down. I always wondered why Watson always sends in his Electrike second though. I feel like Magneton would be his best option. I'm not complaining. Magneton does finally come out, and this is where Breloom truly shines in this fight. Steel types are always so hard to deal with, but especially when they show up this early in the game. Having a great fighting type so early in the game to counter this is just awesome. After I clear the paralysis with my Cherry Berry, I start going for the Mach Punches, which I calculated would easily 2-shot Magneton no matter what. This is a great scenario because it also means I won't deal enough damage to trigger a Super Potion from Watson. Magneton goes down easily, and now it is just his ace, Manectric, the one who wiped us out last time. With Breloom at full health, I decided to go for a Leech Seed as Manectric wasn't going to deal that much damage right off the bat. And I hit it. From there, I'm just looking to deal as much damage as possible until I need to switch into Dustox. Dustox is actually very well equipped to deal with Manectric, having pretty bulky special defense stat, and you can teach a Thief to take that Citrus Berry away if you want. However, something happened that I didn't really think about. Manectric started spamming Howl over and over again, which actually kind of makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, because his electric type moves would be resisted by my grass type. I will admit, it got a little scary at one point. I was concerned about how much damage Quick Attack would do with all those attack boosts. But luckily, with the help of Leech Seed, it wasn't enough to put me in serious danger. And eventually, Breloom takes him out, winning us the 3rd badge. That went so much better than last time. But it wasn't just the improved encounters. I did a lot more prep for this fight than I did in the last run, and I've made a lot less mistakes. With Watson now vanquished and my Pokemon healed back up, I head over to my PC box to pull out some Pokemon that I'll need for the next fight. Flannery. Tentacool and Gyarados should be excellent additions to the team. I'm also boxing Dustox for the time being, as I really want to keep him for Norman when we get to him. You'll see why when we get there. From here, I start the grind towards Flannery in the 4th gym. As I start mowing over trainers on Route 117, we pick up our next encounter, and it's an Oddish. Very nice. Vileplume is an average Pokemon overall, nothing too special, but definitely not bad. Blossom, on the other hand, is awesome, especially later on in the game against all those water-type trainers in boss fights. Very bulky, resists a lot of stuff later on in the game. Gets Magical Leaf, which is nice against Juan's Kingdra as well. Cool. After doing all the boring stuff in Verdant Turf and getting strength, we can start heading north. I stop by the Windstrait house and wreak havoc on an entire family to pick up the Macho Brace. Not a bad item for a little bit of EV training here and there. A little further north and we can start picking up some more encounters. First up is Numble on Route 111. Not the best, unfortunately. Camerupt is actually quite nice to have against 3 of Winona's Pokemon if I want him there as an option, but outside of that, he's not very good, unfortunately. Bad typing for his generation, basically useless after Winona for the most part. part. Next is our encounter on Fiery Path, and it's a Torkoal. Very interesting Pokemon, but unfortunately also not a very good encounter in my opinion. Outside of Gen 3, Torkoal is actually probably really good. He's really bulky, he gets Protect via level up, and definitely pretty underrated I think. But in these games, fire types just struggle a lot after the 6th gym, basically all the way up until the end of the game. On Route 113 we run into a Spinda. Again, not really all that useful. Really cool gimmick in Teeter Dance and Dizzy Punch, but the stats are just horrendously bad. Might be a fun experiment though. I want to take some time to talk about your average trainer for a second, especially as it pertains to this route specifically. When you are nuzlocking in any game in the series, do not take random trainer battles for granted. Each game has a small handful of casual overworld trainers that will actually kill you if you are not paying attention. For Emerald, this route in particular, Route 113, is quite dangerous. There are a couple of Ninja Boys that have Coughings with self-destruct, as well as a Ninjask with Sand Attack and Fury Swipes, and I believe there's also a Bird Keeper towards the end of the route that has a Swellow as well, along with a Skarmory. There are other trainers that are very dangerous in this generation as well overall, which I'm sure I'll talk about later. If you're interested in learning all the random trainer battles in this game that could potentially end your run, or at least take out some of your party members, take a look at my 5 essential tips video for Emerald Nuzlockes linked in the description below. Tip number 2 goes over a bunch of these trainers to look out for in this game. Moving through Falabur Town, be sure to stop by the Fossil Maniac's house to pick up the TM for Dig. A very nice move, especially for Flannery. Now on Route 114, we get yet another encounter. Lots of encounters around this spot in the game, and it's a sweet one with Lombre. Lombre himself really sucks, especially in the middle of the game, and you don't get Ludicolo until pretty late, but it is 1000% worth it because Ludicolo is so freaking good in these games, especially in Emerald. Great against Juan and the entire Elite Four basically, a really awesome pickup overall, but he will live in the box for quite a while. You know, I never really taken a good look at Lynette's place. She claims that it always gets cluttered from all the research she does, but why the hell would you need 6 computers in 2003? It'll be a good 10 years from now before you can mine any Bitcoin, you know. She doesn't even have a bed or even a chair to sit on. After pointlessly analyzing Lynette's place, we rip through the rest of the trainers on Route 114 and head into Meteor Falls to push the story forward. I personally am rappelling through here so I don't receive an encounter just yet. I want to wait until I pick up a good rod or a super rod and come back later for Barboach, because otherwise I would be getting either Lunatone or Solrock, because I already have a Zubat on the team. Lunatone and Solrock are both very bad Pokemon and are almost pointless to use anywhere for the most part. Maybe on Winona if you are really lacking options, but outside of that, they're not going to be great at all. Barboach on the other hand can evolve into Whiscash, which is overall pretty decent Pokemon. Fantastic typing, it gets Earthquake at level 36, which is actually just nuts. It's just lacking a little bit in the stat department. And for anyone out there screaming at their screen right now because I'm not coming back later for basically a guaranteed Bagon encounter, I personally ban pseudo-legendaries such as Salamence in all of my playthroughs. They are just too insane most of the time and tend to make things a lot easier. With all that being said, if you do not have a Zubat yet, then I would say it's worth the risk and try to get him here. Crobat is a great Pokemon to have. After learning about the mysterious intentions of a bunch of grown adults playing dress-up, I decided to do a bit of grinding in Fiery Path to level up my team some more and evolve my Magikarp into Gyarados. He'll be very useful to have in general, but especially for Flannery. After a long grinding session, this is how my team is shaping up at the moment. Looking pretty decent for Gym 4 with these 3 defensively bulky water types, which should help a lot. And now it's time to scale Mount Chimney and deal with Teeming Magma. Maxie isn't too difficult, but you still want to have some sort of plan before going in. And make sure your items and berries are equipped and your Pokemon are healed up. And with that, let's take on Maxie. We start the fight with Breloom, which, even with the Intimidate from Mightyena, should have no problem plowing through the Dark Puppy with a couple of Mach Punches. Afterwards, he sends in his Camerupt next, and so I switch into Gyarados. I go with Gyarados instead of Azumarill just because it's a bit safer, just in case Camerupt high rolls a Magnitude. And I can also get an Intimidate off him as well if I need to switch out Gyarados. Besides, Dragon Rage is actually pretty decent at this stage of the game, and can easily KO the Fire Camel in 2 hits. And at this point, all that's left is Zubat, which quickly goes down with the Strength. That fight was really easy this time around. Before we wrap up the episode, there's one more thing I want to make sure I point out before we head into Lava Ridge Town. Do not run past this old lady, man, it doesn't matter. Just don't run past this person on your way out of Mount Chimney. They will sell you lava cookies for 200 Poké each, and you can buy as many of them as you want. And you're going to want to do exactly that. These lava cookies are literally just full heals for a third of the price. By this point in the game, you should have plenty of money. So go ahead and buy like 30 or 40 of these right now. It's super nice to not have to buy antidotes, paralyzed heals, awakenings, etc. for the rest of the game. And with that, this episode is now over. We've covered a lot of ground since we lost our first attempt. We got our revenge on Watson, got a ton of new encounters, cleared out a bunch of routes, and took out Maxie and Team Magma with ease. Although it feels like we've been coasting ever since we took out Watson, Flannery is not to be taken lightly. In the next episode, I'll have a plan in place and we'll be ready to take her on as well. In the meantime, as usual, please like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this. And let me know what other kinds of content you would like to see me do in the future. That's it for me. I'll see you next time.